Everyone. Thank y'all so much for being here. Looks like Dana's already in the chat, and there's already people here, so that is awesome. Like Mushka brought out a lot of people tonight. Usually it takes a few minutes. So we had a whole conversation backstage because I have found out that I have been sorely mispronouncing her name. So it is not Mushka like I have been saying for the past 2 weeks. It is Mushka 𝙫𝙑𝙀. So I'm going to bring Mushka out. Hi.
Yay. Hi.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me and for having me and for honoring me with this is my first ever live anywhere.
Really?
So
that is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So
what's
it's really
up, Nick? Glad you
Hi.
came, man. Nick is like a live stream legend, man. Like he does some really awesome stuff.
Hi, Nick.
Yeah.
Is there a way that I can see who's on? Or I only see the comments?
Yeah, you'd have to have like a dual monitor to do that because like I have LinkedIn on my other monitor where I can see who all is here or who all is in the comments. But like you should be able to see the comments over on your right. Okay. There should be like a comments tab.
Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi, Dana. Yeah. Hi, Jen. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, everybody's showing up. Amanda, that's Amanda Knight, Jen Russman.
Hi, Amanda.
Yeah, the GOAT himself, Travis Lochner, man. The Beast Node. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
He is one of the inspirations for me to want to get into live stream producing, this man right here. Like, he does some amazing stuff with his live streams. So, yeah.
And even just this intro before we went live, that was some really professional stuff. I see now why you're into streaming and wanting to do this, because I don't know what was happening before my eyes. It was just going.
Well, thank you. That was, hey, Maria, that was something I put together on Canva. And like, I'm not real great at Canva and I'm not super creative. So what normally would have taken somebody about 20 minutes to do, it took me about an hour to get that.
Yeah. So, I feel you on that.
Hey, Lupe, she corrected me. I was mispronouncing her name too.
Oh, it doesn't show up for me.
No, it doesn't for me. It doesn't either. It does on LinkedIn, but it doesn't transfer for some reason over to StreamYard. You know, I'm from Texas. Lupe. It was Lupe. She very lovingly corrected me. It is Lupe.
Lupe.
Okay. So it is Lupe.
I'll keep an eye on that. Yeah. Right. And like I said, nobody else would have known that you were saying my name wrong besides for me. And I'm the last person to care because I get it my entire life. So I just go with everything. I've had the strangest names thrown at me. Also, I have a difficult first name for people to say, and that's like on all my legal stuff. So like schooling and work, and that's a whole nother name that people have to say. I won't even bother with that one.
Right. So tell us just a little bit about you and how you got into the helping people heal from toxic relationships. And that's one thing, like I said in the promo post, was you read your posts, you watch your videos, especially when you when you do your videos, like your personality comes out and you can just feel the passion and the love you have for people. Like it's very, very evident to me. So just tell us a little bit about your background in that and how that came to be something that you do and that you're passionate about.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those who have checked out my profile, I have a bit of a summary over there, but I grew up the eldest of 10 kids. And my parents were both helpers, educators, leaders. My father's a rabbi. So like pretty much in the helping field. And I grew up with helping and giving, and people would just, our door was always open, people coming in and out. Hey, Sherry.
Yeah.
And, and like, I have memories of I think I did a post about this once, like helping my siblings, like pretending I was listening to their problems as if I was like a therapist. I was probably like 12.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was probably like 10, 12.
Right on, Travis. This is the show to watch for you.
Yeah, stay tonight. Yeah. So I was probably like 10, 12, maybe even younger. And I would bring my siblings into my bedroom closet. And I would have like this big closet, and we would sit down and I would say, tell me your problems. And I don't know if I even knew about therapy or like what I was doing. And they loved it. They loved coming to me with their problems. I was like, the cool older sister who knew everything, and made myself believe that I knew everything as well. And then I finished school. I actually didn't finish school. That's a whole nother story. I went to a really religious, Jewish high school, and we didn't study secular studies, like any English studies, past grade 8. So after 8th grade, I didn't study anything. So I didn't know how I would have an education, but I knew I wanted some type of degree or some type of, college education. Close that off. And so I finished, I was still in the school system learning like Jewish subjects. And then when I was about 18, 19, my mom's like, why don't you go and become a mental health counselor? It just makes sense. We all grew up like helping people and giving to people, and you're a really great listener. And I believed that I was a good listener. I admit that, like, that's my humble brag, that I love listening and I'm good at listening. And people tell that to me, that, I'm a good listener. And so I went into mental health counseling, and after that, my whole life kind of moved around. I ended up coming to America for a little bit. That's where I met my husband. I followed him here. He was American. I'm originally Australian. Australia.
Australia, okay.
Yeah. And I lived there until I met him. I was very young. I followed him here. His whole business and family was here, so it made sense to follow him. I finished my school online, and then I started my life, got married, had my kid, and only like 4 or 5 years ago, I went back to school to do a social work degree, my master's in social work. I felt like it was more broad than mental health counseling. I wanted to work with communities. I was getting involved in like the prison system, foster care, and I felt like a social work degree would help me in all those areas. So that's what I did. And then last year, last year, I think I graduated, but only about like 6 months ago or so, 8 months ago, I put up this post about my graduating on LinkedIn, and that's what made me go viral over there. And because I was holding my kids, and oh, Sherry, yes, I'll drink to that.
Right on.
I was holding my kids, and I wrote this whole, sappy post, and that's actually what got me pretty big to begin with on LinkedIn. But then in my personal life, a few years ago, I went through some really rocky times, mental health and my relationships and family and personal stuff. And it was just a mess. And I had this midlife crisis, except I wasn't yet at my midlife. It was this, awakening, unraveling, whatever. And thank you, Nor. And that's when I really knew that this was my calling. So I was still doing social work, but I knew that I had to help people in this other way. So the way that I was helping myself, I was kind of like healing on my own. I had therapists and I had support, but a lot of the work was just figuring out myself, like what I was going to do with this mess of a life, and how I was going to heal, and how I was going to grow, how I was going to continue having healthy relationships, ending the not healthy relationships. And it was a lot. And I ended up sharing that with close friends and creating like a little community. And now I give off all of that here, and then I share it with people who are interested. I get, people reach out to me and I help them with that. And that's just, it started as a passion project, and it still is a huge passion project, but also something that I'd love to be my life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is awesome.
Yes.
So it came from you living through it is what sparked that passion.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us how you work with people. Like what does that process look like? As far as, like, I'm assuming they reach out to you or they see you on LinkedIn or whatever, and kind of walk us through like maybe some of the steps you go through with them or something like that. Like, what does it look like to work with you?
So yeah, so most people reach out to me. There's very few that I reach out to them, because also I don't know how badly people are struggling, and especially on LinkedIn, it's not LinkedIn appropriate to, you know, air all your dirty laundry. But I do get people reaching out to me. Some people will just, you know, want to send me a message or get on a quick call and, you know, go through how they're feeling or help with something. I've had a few people actually who I just, through messaging, really helped them get out of whatever funk they were in, or through a quick call. But then working with me is a lot deeper. It's a 6-week program. So we do either 1 or 2 calls a week. Then every day we do like check-ins, we have activities. I send them a whole bunch of resources. So we get to the bottom of the trauma, you know, whatever that trauma is. Most people that I work with, it's like intimate relationships. So a husband, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, you know. But I do have some family, some friends, but most of the time it's like a marriage or like a, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend. And so we get to the bottom of the trauma. We identify all those negative beliefs. Really, my goal is to help people rediscover their self-worth, because my thing is that I found for me, and I see with so many other people, that whenever we get into a relationship, we give our entire worth over to this other person, which can be healthy because you trust them, you support them, they're supporting you, you have this healthy, loving relationship. So you're kind of like in it together and it makes sense. But then when there's betrayal, or when there's some type of like toxicity, controlling, manipulation, gaslighting, even like mental illness and addiction getting in the way of that healthy relationship, you've tied so much to the other person that now you don't even know what you believe in. You can't trust yourself. You definitely can't trust the other person. So you have to redefine who you are and what you were before all of this, and what you can now be after all this mess that you've gone through. You know, and so like when you can rediscover that self-worth, or for some people even discover it from the get-go, and owning who you are and identifying your strengths and your talents and like all your unique qualities separate from your partner, you end up being able to attract healthy relationships because you're more independent, you're more confident in who you are. You know, you feel more confident in putting in boundaries, in standing up for yourself, and getting what you want, speaking up to unhealthy people. You know, just because a relationship ends doesn't mean that you're done talking to this person. Yes, this.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah, 100%. We don't know. And when it's a healthy relationship, it makes sense because, you know, we give to them and they give to us, and it's a give and take. And, you know, thank you.
I know, right? Like I'm just like, you are articulating this so well. I'm just sitting over here like with my chin on my desk, like, holy crap.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, I know everyone relates, you know, and Jen, I see Jen wrote, you know, that was her in her first marriage. And it's really hard. But I do want to say that you can be in a toxic relationship or an unhealthy marriage or whatever it is, and you can both be determined to grow and make it work. You know, some people think, oh, it's unhealthy, just run, or, you know, why are you still with them? Firstly, no one knows what's happening behind closed doors. So it's not up to anyone else to judge. But even, you know, that being said, people still have that potential to grow and to change and work on themselves. Hey
Ariel. I got to shout out Ariel real quick. She always gives me hell about doing my lives in the evening because she can't make them, but she is a consistent, like if she tells you I'll be hashtag team replay, you can bet she's going to be on that replay commenting just like it was live. Like it happens every time.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, hey, Jen.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so honored. Everyone really turned out.
I know. I did.
Turned
like, I
up.
can't even tell you the people that have DM'd me, or I don't know if you've looked at the comments on any of the posts. People have been so ecstatic that you were going to be here. And I have a record number of people like I've never had. I've got, it looks like 19 people. And I've never had that many before. I think I've capped out at like 12 or 13 or something.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So maybe I guess this is a shameless shout out. If anyone wants high views on your lives, you know where to go.
Mushka is available.
Well, you got me first, and now people will see that.
Right. Exactly.
How it'll go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so, I don't know if I really publicized this, but I was approved for LinkedIn Live. I won't say how many times I tried to get approved, but I ended up getting approved. And when I finally got approved, I was like, okay, now what? And so I haven't done anything with it. I've had it for about 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm not.
And Travis will probably be able to answer this. Used to, if you didn't use it within 60 days, you lost it. So I don't know if that's still the case. Travis, do you know if that's still what they're doing? There's a delay, so it's going to take him a minute to answer this. But yeah,
that's scary.
Jamal Marshall. Whoops. Jamal Marshall in the house. What's up, Jamal?
Hey. There are a lot of people that I'm going to have to connect with after this.
I know, right? Yeah. So what was your purpose in getting LinkedIn Live? Like, what did you want to do with it? Do you know? Did you have any idea?
I was thinking just chat or invite people on, find conversations.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, it won't happen. And it didn't happen for 3 times. Right. I would say don't tell anyone, but here we are. Yeah. And then the 4th time it was like, yeah, you got this. And then they probably regret giving it to me because I didn't do anything with it. But Travis.
If I remember right, Travis, it used to be if you didn't use your LinkedIn Live approval after 60 days, you lost it. Do you know if that's still true? Are they still doing that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Sherry.
The comments are going off. I can't keep up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Gabe's another live streamer, man, that does some remote producing and was kind of one of my inspirations for wanting to get into looking at producing and stuff.
Yeah. And I've seen his content is just shouting out the lives all day. That's
the past
so
couple of weeks. Yeah. Because that takes time to figure out who is doing what at what time and who their guests are. And he puts all that together and promotes all the live stream content creators and pushes them out there. And he's doing a lot to promote the live stream community.
Yeah. I'll get in touch with him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's awesome. I don't remember what we were talking about before live.
About my LinkedIn Live. I was just saying my story of getting here, but LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Like when I got approved, of course, that was like back in March or April. They had said something. Whenever you got approved, you have to use it within 60 days. But I don't know. They've done so much changing on approving people, like they're improving almost everybody now and all that kind of stuff. So it may not be true anymore.
Oh, they're improving everyone now?
Well, I mean, a lot more people were getting approved. There for a while, it was like everybody was griping about it. And then now I don't hear anybody griping about it. So I don't know if that means that they quit. They just got tired of being told no.
So maybe that's why they ended up giving it to me. They're like, oh, we'll just give everyone at this point. Just stop. So. Yeah.
So you might want to test it out. You might want to do just like the next time you do a video post, just do a 2-minute live just to see if it works.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have to start being consistent with that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your social work. You said you were a social worker in prison. Is that what you said?
So last year, so right, like at the beginning of COVID and from 2019 to 2020. So I was a forensic social worker with the Public Defender's Office. Okay. So I worked with the defense team and helped with litigation, doing things like, well, I basically arranged the psychosocial side of the defense to give to the lawyers. I probably did the dirty work for the lawyers, basically. but then the lawyers stood up there with everything that I gave them, and they presented the case. So I would meet with the inmates, and then I would meet with their family, their friends, get a whole bunch of, do a whole bunch of interviews with everyone in their lives, get like records, personal records, school records, like medical records, everything, basically get their whole life. And then I would create a defense for the lawyer. And it was either to reduce their sentencing. Sometimes it was to get them completely off, and to get them released. There were a few, I'm forgetting what it's called now, wrongful convictions, and so we still had to present a case for that. I think I won every single case that I did, so I don't doubt that. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. There were times where I had to stand up in court. So most of the time I didn't have to do it. In court, I would just sit there behind the lawyer and they would have all my work. Sometimes they would thank me, but sometimes they wouldn't. But then sometimes the judge would ask for me to stand up and corroborate, what the lawyer said, and I'd have to go and give the whole summary. It was an amazing job. And then they would, they'd either get released or they would get their, time reduced. And it was just very, very rewarding. Like, I couldn't imagine. Okay, see you.
Thanks for stopping by, Dave.
Okay, thanks.
Sometimes I like putting the comments up there, but sometimes they kind of throw off the conversation.
I know.
Start reading them.
It's nice. It's nice to have everyone's support. It's so great to see everyone. Yeah. And it was one of those very, very rewarding jobs that I knew I was making a difference every day. And then COVID hit and we couldn't go into the jails anymore. And it was just very difficult for me to balance that. And then my kids were home full time. So I stopped that. But it was definitely something that I would jump on again. And I think still they're not letting lawyers or social workers into the prisons, at least here. And that's really hard for inmates, because that was a connection that they had with people who would actually listen and be there.
Yeah.
Good night, Jen.
Yeah, bye, Jen. Thanks for stopping by. 100% win rate, no big deal. I know, right?
Maybe 99%. I don't know. I'm sure something.
You just kind of threw that out there casually. That's what I'm talking about. I know, that dark guy.
No, I feel very popular right now. I wasn't popular growing up. I was not a popular kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was not in with the cool crowd. I think I've written about that before. I realize now that's totally fine. I don't need to be in with any crowd. Right. But it's just, and now it's about the support. And I see people who have my back and who can support me and who have been there for me. I'll take that. Yeah. So it's great to see the support.
Right on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Go ahead.
No, so are you, I know you're like a minister for a prison or something, the church. Yeah. So what's that like?
I love it. So I knew when I was inside that I was going to come back in and do ministry. Like, I just knew it. And I got out and got plugged in with a good church. And actually, the pastor of my church, I knew him before I went to prison. And then he became a volunteer at the prison I was at. So I saw him a couple times a month. And he's from the town I was going to parole to. So I go to his church, and I go back to the same unit where I did 6 years of my 8 plus. So where I did most of my time. And it's really nice to be able to go back in. I'm fixing to start now that it's kind of opened back up. The prisons are starting to open back up to volunteers coming in. I'm going to try and get into the one. We have one here in town. The one I go to is 3 hours away. We have one here in town, but it's good to go back into the same unit where I was at before and see a lot of the guys that I was locked up with, that I'm friends with. You know, we got to be really close while I was in there. And then they get to see me living a productive, healthy life in society. Like that stigma does not have to follow you out there. It's just a label the state gives you. So it's really fulfilling. Like it's something I really, really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Go ahead.
No, you for sure give them so much hope, you know, and like determination to do this properly. And like, there is hope for them out there, just seeing that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the greatest, like, as far as putting together a sermon and preaching it up there and doing all that stuff, but I do really a whole lot better doing like one-on-one conversations with the guys and spending some time with them. And, you know, I'll pray for them and just listen, you know, because a lot of them don't have anybody out there. And I'm sure you've seen that. There's nobody out there to help them do anything. And I'm kind of limited on what I can do for them when they get out. Like there's really not much I can do for them. But just being there to listen to them and have somebody that cares for them to unload on every once in a while is really big to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. So you used to go weekly, 3 hours each way?
I used to go twice a month. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd go down there. So the way our schedule was before COVID is we went on the 2nd and the 4th Saturday night of the month and the 4th Sunday morning. So I'd go down there on the 2nd Saturday night and we drive back, and service started at like 6:15, 6:30. So it'd be 8:15 before we got out of there. Then I'd drive 3 hours home. And then when we had the Saturday and Sunday night together, or Saturday night, Sunday morning together, we'd spend the night down there.
Wow.
And then drive back Sunday afterwards.
That's hard. Good for you.
Yeah. And now they haven't opened up everything as far as like all the classes hadn't got back on schedule. And they have a new chaplain and I've only met him once. So I hadn't really got to sit down and talk to him, but I'm only going in now like once every 2 months on a Sunday morning. And I was going to get with him about going in like one Saturday night a month and doing something. Cause I used to go down to, all Texas prisons have a faith-based dorm. Where it's open to people of all faiths. The curriculum is mostly Christian-based just because that's where they have the most volunteers, but it's open to anybody of any faith. There's some rules and regulations and guidelines you have to follow. But I'd go down there before the service on Saturday and just hang out in the dorm with the guys and talk to them. So that gave me a chance to really have some one-on-one time with them.
Yeah.
So I was going to get back into doing that again. The chap said I could do it, no problem. And then all this stuff with the divorce happened, and I really hadn't been in the right mind frame to commit to doing it real regular. So I think after the first of the year, I'm going to get with the chaplain and start going back in on a more regular basis.
Yeah. And did they give you that leeway to go into the dorm because of the faith? Okay.
Yeah. And that's the only dorm. So prison set up, there's all kinds of, I mean, I know you know this, there's all kinds of crazy rules. Because it was the faith-based dorm, I was able to go down there and hang out with them.
Okay, yeah.
Now, like on special events, like if there was going to be a crusade or something, we can set it up where like all day Saturday, we just go dorm to dorm to dorm to dorm to dorm and visit with the guys and pray for them or whatever. But just on a regular basis, the faith-based dorm was the only one I had leeway to go into.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it like it, you know, they look at it now. I'm a civilian and security issues and all that, but you know, the volunteers are probably the safest people in the prison because if there is somebody that's going to try and get fly with a volunteer, the other guys are going to jump on him before the guards even know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did over 8 years in prison, so it does not bother me to walk into any of those dorms and sit down with them.
Yeah,
those are my people, or were my people. You know
I'm sure they would have. Yeah, they would have your back. Yeah, in a second. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you can finish your story. I was gonna say my experience going in there. You know, so I'll wait till you're done. You can finish your.
No, I was just going to say, and it was really cool. Like the last year or so I was in there, I was the chaplain's clerk. So I had an office job in with the chaplain. So I got to meet guys from all, not just being in the faith-based dorm, but, you know, the chaplain, even though the chaplain can be any faith, historically he's a Christian, but he has to administrate all the faiths services and stuff. So I got to meet a lot of those guys. I got to be real good friends with some of the Muslim guys. So it was really neat, you know, to kind of break down the walls, whether you agree with what they believe or not. Doesn't mean you can't find some common ground and have a friendship with them, you know? Yeah.
And I'm sure you're all there for the same reason, just to be there for the people and, you know, for their best interest, you know. You all shared that in common.
Yep.
See you, Jacob.
Bye, Jacob.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Wow, you missed a lot of comments. Wow.
I did. Okay. Yeah, talking. I did.
I'll have to go through them all tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. They're popping tonight.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay.
So Jamal, you said that's how you got into Indiana State Prison. Did you get into Indiana State Prison as a volunteer or as an inmate, or is that a question you don't want to answer right now?
Well, I used to go to Baltimore City Prison. I don't know if anyone knows anything about Baltimore City, but when I would tell people that, they would be shocked that a young girl like me was But for some reason I had zero fear. Like I have a lot of fear for a lot of different things, but I didn't feel any fear. Maybe that was, I don't know, something wrong with me, but I felt nothing going in, you know. I knew what I was there for. We would get the lawyer's booth, so it was just me and them in the room. And sometimes there was a glass in between with a phone, but usually it was just, you know, us having a conversation. You see the...
Yeah, I see.
But yeah. But yes.
Dana and Jacob going back and forth.
I know, I see distracted. That. Steven Rogers? I saw Will Smith in Baltimore. Huh.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Didn't know Will Smith was in Baltimore. Yeah. And, so you know, and then...
It was like it was contact visit. You were just sitting there across the table from them or whatever.
Yeah. So, and you look at them like regular people. I mean, you know, I don't believe, I believe everyone's born innocent, you know, babies come out not knowing, you know, and people make really terrible choices sometimes. But when you look at, I mean, for me, when I look at them as humans and, you know, they were once good people. I mean, they still are good people, but they were once people who didn't make bad choices, and now they did make the wrong choice, and now here's where they are. But I feel like if I spoke to them as another person and just had a regular conversation, and I actually wanted to listen and I wanted to know about their life, and they were more than willing to, you know, what would it benefit them to start up with me, you know?
And that is something that is so incredibly important when you're in there, because you get so used to a state-paid mental health counselor in there that has her hands tied by policy. State-paid, well, the medical service, it's all contracted out. Like in Texas, like the medical and mental health stuff is all contracted out. But they still have to go by what the state policies are. So their hands are tied on what they can do. So whenever all you're dealing with is state paid people, you start putting walls up because you don't really know if they're there to help. Some of them are, but they can only do so much. Like I've got a friend, my neighbor that I hunt with all the time. His wife is a mental health nurse practitioner in the unit here in Rusk, but and it kills her sometimes because she sees more that she could do, but because of the policies and procedures and all that, she can only do this or whatever. But whenever you get used to dealing that, when you have to go and talk to someone like you who is really there to listen and help, like that can be a life-changing moment for somebody that's inside.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure whoever's in who's working from the inside, you know, like the mental health professionals and things like that, they would have to report things that they hear, you know, they would have to report, you know, I don't think they hold confidentiality and, you know, reports of harm and things like that, and threats. They probably would have to report all of that.
Yes.
Whereas a lawyer or me working with the defense team, it's funny because social workers are mandated reporters. So, you know, if something happens, you have to tell someone, you know, like if there's a threat or they want to hurt themselves. But then when you're working with their defense team, you go by their rules. So I can't tell anyone anything. I can only tell the lawyers information. I can't tell anyone in the social work world or report it to the social work world, which I make that very clear with the inmates because, you know, I want them to know, literally you can tell me anything and your lawyer will take care of it. So, and they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes a big difference. Like I said, just knowing that you were there to help would probably, I mean, there's always going to be somebody that's twisted, but, you know, if even among, you know, they say honor amongst thieves, that really is true. If you're there to help, you're not going to, you're in a whole lot better shape safety wise than the guards are.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to mess with you. And if they think about messing with you and one of the other inmates sees it, they're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
Just because they know you're there to help and they respect that. Hi, Julie.
Yeah.
Glad you're late, or glad you came, even if you are late.
Hey, Julie. Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing now that you're not going into prison and doing all that? Are you doing just the toxic relationship healing? Working with people doing that? Okay.
Yeah. So at the beginning of this year, or the end of last year, I actually started a different job where, once my kids went back to school, I started working in a women's and children's hospital as a social worker there. I left that job 2 months ago because I promise I'm stable, everyone. I really, I am stable. One job ended, it was COVID and then I had to wait. My kids were home and then I had another job, but it didn't work out. So here I am, but I am generally very stable and committed. But I thought it was for me and I realized it wasn't for me. I gave it about 6 months. It was terrible. I felt terrible. I still feel terrible about quitting because I'm not a quitter. But at the time, it wasn't working for me. There was a lot going on in my life. My kids needed me at home. This was just right at in the summer, July, August time. And my kids were not doing well with me not being there. I was out very early in the mornings. I was home very late at night. And I realized that my calling or my true passion lied with, this kind of work and working with people one-on-one and this healing work and wanting other people to have what I have and things like that. So now I'm doing this pretty much full time. I didn't make it full time. I'm not busy all day long, but it's very nice to drop my kids off at school and have time for myself and errands and chores and just, running around doing things. And I can go for coffee dates with friends, which I didn't have for so long. And then I'm starting a group, my first group, for women. So usually I have men and women clients, and funny, strangely, whatever it is, I have been getting probably a lot more men reaching out than women.
I was going to ask you about that earlier and I forgot. So go ahead and keep going with that.
Yeah. A lot of men. I think I started with women. I think I started like posting. I think my headline was women maybe last year, 6 months ago. And then I got rid of that because I was like, wait, no, like men really need help. And I would have men being like, wait, can you help me too? And so I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll help anyone. And yeah, I do have a lot of men. But I started my first women's group for intimate toxic relationships. So I started in December, and I'm really excited because I feel like for me, what was really helpful for me was support and community and network when it came to my own healing. And, still even now, the work that I do and my own personal growth, you need your community, you need your support. And yeah, I'll message you. You message me. I think we're messaging anyways right now, but that was to Dana.
Yeah.
And I know how important that support is. And so for people to gain hope and strength and wisdom from other people who are in the same boat. And I wanted it just women because, and intimate relationships, because when it comes to intimate toxic relationships, some women may have experienced some type of trauma, and it might be too triggering having males in the group, even though they might identify with certain things. I just wanted to keep it separate and see, and kind of see where that goes after that. I was thinking of maybe a men's group, but this women's group is going to be a lot. So I might do a men's group in January. We'll see. But yeah.
So is it going to be virtual or is it going to be in person?
No, so it's virtual. Yeah, It's virtual. Everyone is I don't think anyone is even in Maryland. So yeah.
That is cool. That's really cool. So I'm interested to know, like, when you hear people talking about toxic relationships, your mind first of all goes to women and the toxic relationship. The toxic part was the man. What do you, just in your experience, what is that ratio really like? Like, what is it? How many men clients do you have versus women clients? I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. Like the out there ratio, I would say you would never know, because I feel like men don't ask for help as much as women. And as much as people say, oh, they are, or they need more support or whatever, I don't think men ask enough out there. Maybe in a private messaging or my DMs, whatever, that's different. But out there in the real world, men don't ask for help as often as women. I would say probably more women client, maybe probably like 7 women to 3 men, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay. 7 women to 3 men. But I do get a lot of messages. Oh yeah. Nora said 60 to 40. So I would say, 60 to 40, 70, 30, but it's
Dana. Thanks for coming by.
Dana.
It's good to see you. And I'm going to second Jacob and everybody else. That new profile pic is on point.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah.
So I'll get a lot of like quick messages for men, like this and this is my situation. Who's a therapist I can find? Or what do you think I need? Or how can I help my children? Like kind of like quick messages, rather than being willing to actually get a lot of help.
Yeah, because I think we as men want the quick fix. We want to fix it now.
Yeah.
And so we don't always want to put in the work to get there, because we want a quick fix.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if it is that stigma that men can't sit with their feelings or don't want to face their feelings or whatever, but maybe that plays into it as well. Like they don't want to have to deal with so much emotion and so much feeling. And the more you're going deep when you're doing this stuff, like trauma and triggers and this mess that you're stuck in. Like, there's a lot to unpack, and you're going to have to stick with it for a very long time to start seeing results. And it's not just like, we'll talk for a week and then you'll get some tools and you'll be fine. No, you're going to have to look inside yourself for a pretty long time, because this stuff affected you and it's going to keep playing up in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It didn't happen overnight. You're not going to get rid of it overnight.
Yeah.
That's what I tell the guys in prison all the time. It took you years to develop these habits. You're not going to deprogram yourself from doing them or whatever in the first week that you're out. Like, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And that's interesting about the men. Before I got in trouble, I was a cop, and going through a police academy, there was like a week or a module on domestic violence. And I don't remember, I wish I could remember what the statistics were on men. They can only go off what's reported, but the statistics were lower on men, obviously, than they were women, but it was the same thing. It was because the men weren't reporting it. And, I'm not like trying to do a men versus women thing here, but it happens. It does happen that sometimes it's not the man that's in that. And whenever it's not, or it's not the man that's the bad guy, for lack of a better word. And when it's not, like, they need help too.
Yeah.
Because just because we're men don't mean we don't have some crap we have to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt us and doesn't affect us or whatever.
Yeah. And I think in that situation, like with the domestic violence calls, playing devil advocate here, but like, if a man calls and says, "Oh, my wife's hitting me," what would that sound like? You don't blame them. You don't blame them for not wanting to make those calls, because the man's supposed to be the tough guy of the house. How can a guy call up and be like, "Oh, my wife's hurting me"?
And I promise you, the talk after somebody went to jail or didn't go to jail would have been, "Oh my God, that dude was getting his ass beat by his wife."
Yes.
It wouldn't have been a supportive thing. Like, the man's the scumbag because he's beating on his wife. It would have been, "Can you believe that dude did that?"
Yeah.
Because that's just the way guys, it's wrong, but that's just the way it would happen. I know it would.
Yeah. And I think like emotional abuse and things like, narcissism and controlling and manipulative women they're probably reported more or spoken about more, because at least that you can kind of make an easier defense for yourself than saying, "My wife hit me."
Right.
No, it's sad. I know
sad.
a lot of,
I
know. Yeah, that's how it is. But it's really sad. I know men who really get physically abused by their wives. Yeah. There are a lot of unhealthy people out there.
Yeah. And I just love how passionate you are. And I think I remember your headline, like whenever we first connected, was something to do with helping women deal with trauma from toxic relationships or whatever. Carl Sean Watkins, what is going on, man? Another live stream legend right there.
Yeah. Hey, Carl.
And so to hear that you're working with men now is really cool. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know people say like niche down and, find your audience, but I mean, they found me.
Right.
I couldn't hide. I've tried to hide. That's my husband coming home. I've tried to hide, but they ask for help and they need help. And so, sometimes it's not like, "Oh, I want to work with you." Sometimes, like I said, it's just a quick message or like, "What should I do next?" Or, "You wrote about this and that's my story. So help me get through this."
Right.
Yeah.
But they're reaching out.
Yeah. Yeah. They're reaching out.
And just thinking about it, and I'm just thinking out loud here, so bear with me because it may not make sense. Just thinking, if it was me in the toxic relationship and I needed to reach out to someone, it would also be a catch-22 on, do I want to reach out to another woman and show that I'm vulnerable, or reach out to another man and show that I'm vulnerable?
Yeah.
Just because, to me, like, I open up more to women My best friends in life have always been women.
Yeah.
But I think it's because we as guys tend to not want to open up to each other, because we're afraid what the other guy's going to think.
Yeah.
And so just to have somebody, same as being in prison, just to have somebody in your corner fighting for you just would mean a lot to a guy. Like no judging, no thinking any less of them, no none of that. Just there to help would mean a lot to a guy.
Yeah.
In prison or out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for most of the messages or, the inbound that I get has been like the right place, right time kind of thing. Like they came across something, they're like, oh, now's a good time to speak about it or ask about it. And that's when, they start asking or try to, connect something to do with a post that I wrote, or they saw a comment or, but I think in general, like when maybe it feels easier to talk to a woman, maybe she won't judge you, maybe she'll be more supportive. But then again, it's interesting because I would also think that maybe they would think the woman might take their woman's side, like the female might take the female side. Yeah. I've had that in, like, I've heard about that happening in therapies, like couples therapists, when like a woman therapist will take the woman's side no matter what. So I guess it goes both ways.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder if that therapist didn't have some undealt with stuff in her life that was making her be biased like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thank you.
Absolutely. There was something
she's so supportive.
Yeah, I see that. So that supportive. Is awesome.
I know. I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have to what?
I'm gonna have to look at all the comments. They're just flying by later.
This is nuts, man. Like, this has been an awesome show. Are you only on LinkedIn, or like do you do posts like this on other platforms too?
So about like a month ago, I started an Instagram. I mean, I always had a private Instagram, but it's got pictures of my kids, and I don't put pictures of my kids out there. So I started a public one, and I post like, different things, not like long posts like this. It's more like short captions and like little pictures. And I mean, I only have, not only, but so far I have 200 followers. Woo-hoo! And we'll grow eventually. I just, I had to get into reels. I had to get into stories. There's just so much over there that I wasn't used to. And it's, it's hard work to keep up with more than one platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you do, like when you're posting over there, do you do like short videos and stuff that you post similar to what you do on LinkedIn?
I haven't, no. I do reels, like, the ones with the trends or like the words, and you point to the words and, that. So I do what everyone else does with reels. I think I did a few times just a video of me talking as a reel, but I haven't posted a video just plain. But I could. I could. I mean, I know that over here they're pretty popular. Yeah. So maybe.
I was just curious, and I'm not on any other platform. Just this is it. So I'm always curious as to how people are diversifying, or if if your target audience is here and you're getting traction here. Have you done any TikToks?
Yeah, but
have you done any work-related TikToks?
Yeah. Okay, no, that's all I've done. Okay, I never, when COVID started, when like the lockdown started, I think it was in March last year. And TikTok started getting really big, and I started getting in on all the trends. So I started doing TikToks, but I would save them to send to my family and friends. Like I wouldn't post them in public because I was way too embarrassed. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like everyone in my real life, like everyone out there can't know about this. Only people like in my personal life. But I'm thinking now, if I would have started back then, I could have been so famous because I jumped on. I had nothing else to do. My kids were home. We made TikToks all day. And those are the people who are huge right now, who just started. But I've done like short clips, and it's okay. Nothing, I haven't made anything big out of it. And even Instagram, like I get this thing, I don't know if it's in my head, But I get this thing that like, if you don't have a lot of followers, nothing big will come of you, like you won't get anything out of it. But then that just stops me from keep on going. So I should change that thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody starts with 0.
Yeah. I think you started here around the same time as me, right? Like last year, at the beginning of this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was, I'd have to go back and look, but somewhere right after Christmas or maybe right before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So coming up on a year.
Yeah. How do you feel about your progress?
I like it. I don't have, it used to bother me a little bit about like metrics and stuff like that. And I really like it. It doesn't so much anymore. I don't like to see a post flop. Like I was talking to somebody this morning. I did that post on wanting to produce live streams, and by lunchtime, I did it like 8. By lunchtime, it had like 120 views. And I was like, F this crap. I'm going to delete it and repost it tomorrow. But then it picked up after lunch. But it's funny, like the stuff that I want people to see doesn't always do as good as the stupidest stuff I post. You know what I mean? Like I'll do something insanely stupid and it'll go through the roof. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to ride this algorithm wave and post something serious tomorrow and it'll freaking tank.
Yeah.
But I'm really like, I don't have a huge following, and I hate to even say following because it makes me sound like whatever, an influencer or something, and I am not an influencer.
You influence. That's better than an influencer.
Yeah, definitely. And Jamal Marshall and I go back and forth in comments about this because we both have the same perception of influencers and what the difference is between a social media influencer and a real life influencer. And I'd choose a real life influencer any day over a social media influencer. But I've got considerably less amount of followers and connections than most people. And I'm really okay with that because like I post about it sometimes, but you'll hear me say in comments or whatever, I came here trying to get business. And I probably could have if I'd focused more on that instead of just having fun. But I've built an amazing community around me. Like I have met some really amazing people that I'm friends with now. We have phone numbers. We talk off the platform, in Slack or on the phone or even in the DMs all the time or whatever. Zoom calls, phone calls.
Yeah.
And so I came trying to get business, and I'm just here for fun now. Like it's to build a community, meet some amazing people, do my live streams, and I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Like I love it.
Yeah. You can tell that you're here for the fun of it. And it does look like you have a great network, really great community. And it's nice to know that they also had your back, in the past few months with everything that you'd been going through.
Mm-hmm. And I shared it with a few people privately. I didn't post about it. And everybody was super supportive. And then when I did post about it, I don't even remember how many comments I got. It was a ton. Probably my 3rd highest performing post ever. The first one was a poll though, so I don't know that really counts. Sherry, if you're still here, everybody gives Sherry hell about her polls. But I had one post go viral. It was like 175,000 views. That'll never happen again, but I can say I've done it. I have a screenshot.
What was it about?
Have you ever met a LinkedIn connection in real life?
How did that go viral?
I don't know, but it did.
Wow. I made a post like that once.
I was going to, I know, she's the look on your face. How did that go viral?
No, because I made a post like that once.
This was a poll. It was a poll. So that was probably why.
Right.
And the options were like, yes, I have. It was great. No, and I don't want. No, but I want to. No, and I don't want to, or something like, something silly. And that sucker went off. And I was just like, I had to quit responding to comments. There were so many of them. But anyway, back to the other one. The amount of comments I got on it, and my DMs were blowing up with people. Hey, I've been there. If you need to talk, here's my phone number. I mean, it was amazing. And I'm not on any other social media, but I know I wouldn't have got that on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else. And I told Rob Gilbert last week, I have pretty strong opinions about stuff. I don't post it, not because I'm afraid to voice my opinion, because I don't want to get kicked off of here, man. I like it here too much. You know what I mean? And call it what you want to, but I mean, I like it here. So
yeah,
I like my community.
You want to
I love
stay.
my community. Yeah.
You deserve to stay.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw, like, right when you posted that, for some reason it came up on my feed in a second. And did you just hear something with my thing? No.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounded like you just bumped it or something.
Oh, okay. No, it said, please charge.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
Okay. So it came up on my feed in a second, like right after you posted it. And then you said something like, if it goes viral, or I can't deal with if it goes viral or something. And I was thinking to myself, like, I better not flop after you wrote that. I'm like, but posts like that usually don't flop. And then I just saw the support, like, Yeah,
that's what I had said. One of the reasons I hadn't posted about it yet was something like, will people think I'm doing it for attention? Real raw posts get a ton of engagement. Do I feel like answering all the comments? Because I'm real big on answering all my comments.
Yeah.
And I did. It took me a couple of days to do it, but I did answer all of them. Well, some of them I just reacted to, because it got to be like really overwhelming.
And then you have to scroll and refresh the page.
And like it was just like,
why does it do that?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Okay. Good night.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So and it was but it was a cool experience though. Just the people that I didn't even know real well, like one of them, and I'll call her out. It's 𝙈𝙝 Russo. We met on one of Ariel Lee's Zoom parties one Friday, which was really crazy because I DM'd Ariel to tell her, hey, this woman I met at your Zoom party sent me a really nice voice message. And she said, you know what, that's crazy because 𝙈𝙝 only came like 2 or 3 times. And I only went like 2 or 3 times when she was doing it. So we met there. She sent me a connection request during that Zoom party. And like, it's been nothing since then. Like, we don't really interact on each other's posts or anything. But she put a nice comment, encouraging comment on the post. And then she sent me a voice message in the DM that was just amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of community. That's why I stay here.
Yeah, I know. I get, I see the support, the connection, the community. It's amazing. And there are people who I've known also offline who, like before LinkedIn, they were my friends in real life. And then they'll like message me randomly or like, text me and be like, I saw your post, you're doing so well. Or like in real life, they'll be like, oh, I see what you're doing. And it's just like, it encourages me to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Because I am very introverted and, believe it or not, very shy in real life. And I own it. Like, I'm proud of it. It's a strength. But I would not walk into a room of, 3,000 people and just feel comfortable sitting there and chilling and, waiting for people to come up to me and me go up to people. Like, I would not do that. I'd rather be in bed. But it's, it's, something like this where it's like, I can just flow, have conversations and, be open to connecting with someone and getting on Zoom calls and getting on phone calls and seeing people in real life. It just, I don't know. It's a different energy.
It's totally different. And, we were talking about this earlier. I'm exactly the same way. I'm very introverted. I'm the guy in the corner at the party holding his drink, watching everybody. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. So to be able to get on a live stream and talk to somebody that I've never talked to in my life, outside of comments on a social media post for an hour, like it's funny to me that I can do that.
Yeah.
And that I can do it pretty well, I think. So I'm right there with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Strangely enough though, like it doesn't bother me to get up in front of people and talk.
Yeah.
It's the one-on-one in a social setting that I get kind of introverted. But like if I have to get up and like in front of the church and say something, or at the prison in front of 150 guys and say something, like I'm not in the least bit nervous.
Right.
It's funny. It's weird.
Yeah, different level of introversion.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. I never used to own it. It was like, I was self-conscious of being self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
But now, and plus on here, I've amazing, I don't know if you know, Daisy, Daisy Simmons and Chelsea Brooke Cole. And
I
you
don't
should
think
connect with
so.
them. Yeah, that they're very big on like introversion and owning being an introvert. And I've learned so much from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just ready to own it.
Right.
So yeah,
Well,
my earbud died, by the way.
yeah, I saw.
I don't know if you hear an echo now.
Yeah, the audio is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
A little bit of an echo.
Yeah. Oh wow, look at that. It's 1 hour.
1 hour, yeah. Right on. It went by fast.
Yeah, it was so great. It was so fun for my first live. I'm gonna do this again. I just need people to ask me.
All right. So look, for the last 5 people that are watching, we had 20 at one point, that's a record for me. So yeah, thank you for that.
Good.
Invite her on your show, and you need to do some lives.
Okay.
Like, I think you'd be really good at it.
Yeah. Or I'll just invite people on my lives. You know, I can't sit back and wait all day for people to come to me. I've got to go do something about it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or start reaching out to them. Hey, I want to come on your live.
Yeah, I know people who do that. Maybe I can. I don't know. What do I have to lose? Yeah.
Yeah, DJ 𝙤𝙘𝙀, my guest on Ending the Stigma last week, did that. She reached out. She was like, bro, when are we going to do a show together? I was like, cool, let's do it. I was like, am I hosting or are you? She said, you're hosting. I want to be on your show. I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I watched that one.
Yeah, it was a really good one.
Yeah.
It was great, Julie.
Thanks.
She did really amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, like, I am not by any means a pro on live streaming yet. But if
just like this background and the little logo.
That's Canva. I did all that on Canva.
Okay, I wouldn't even know where to. I mean, I know Canva, but I wouldn't know like this whole platform. And
so, if you want to, shoot me a DM of some times you have available or whatever. If you want to hop on a Zoom call and I can just kind of share my screen and show you a few things, I don't mind doing that. If you want to, if you want to,
yeah, that's cool.
I'd be more than happy to.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Like, this was a blast tonight. You really kind of stroked my ego with the whole 20 people tonight, so I appreciate that.
I'm gonna start renting out my services.
Yeah, you should be like, look,
guaranteed.
Chris has only had about 10 or 12 people, and I came on and he had 20. So,
yeah, guaranteed 20.
Yeah, make it rain, baby.
Yeah. Oh, anytime. It was so nice to be here and to chat with you and to see everyone and the comments. I'm gonna go check that all out later.
Yeah, thank y'all to everyone that showed up and supported this. This was absolutely amazing. I had a blast tonight.
Yeah.
Let me look at my calendar. I don't have anything else this week. 12 p.m. on Tuesday the 2nd, I've got the streaming tornado Gabe Leal is going to be on with me. And then that Tuesday night, the 2nd, for Ending the Stigma, Amanda Knight will be on with Nathan and I. So that's the next thing's coming up.
Yeah, I like that one that you do at the Ending the Stigma.
Yeah, that was Nathan's idea, kind of, because we're both felons. He's like, man, I think we need to use our stories for something.
Yeah.
He said, what do you want? You want to do a live show together about it? And I was like, yeah. And then it kind of Ending the Stigma was born out of that. And it's just been really, really good, really supportive. Like, we have had a ton of support on that.
Yeah.
Which is another testament to LinkedIn and how amazing it is, because we wouldn't have got that on Facebook or anywhere else.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, Mushka, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And y'all have a good night.
Okay. Good night.